Unaware his wife had just inherited a billion-dollar company, husband beat her in their living room and called her a disappointment. What she did next shocked him. He didn't just raise his voice. He stood in the middle of his own living room, drunk, shaking with anger, and called the woman who had been quietly carrying his whole life on her shoulders a disappointment. Seconds before his hand struck her face and sent her crashing into the edge of the coffee table. Days earlier, Emma Collins had been kneeling alone in their dim garage, her hands trembling as she opened a thick envelope from a private estate firm. Inside were words that didn't feel real. Sole heir, transfer of control, conglomerate assets. The small repair shop she grew up around had become a billion-dollar company, and on paper it now belonged to her. But when she walked back into that house, she didn't feel like an heiress. She felt small, grieving, afraid of the man who slammed doors upstairs and blamed her for every bill. So she slid the envelope under a stack of old spare tires, hiding a billion-dollar legacy inches from the car he drove every day. Mark never asked how her day went. He didn't know about the inheritance. All he saw was a quiet wife, a messy bank account, and a string of secret messages with another woman saved in his phone as B that made him feel wanted and important. In his mind, Emma was the problem, lazy, unambitious, dragging him down. "You're useless. You don't help. You're a burden. A disappointment," he shouted just before his palm met her cheek. He thought she was trapped. He thought she was powerless. He thought no one would ever believe her over him. What he never imagined was this. The woman he had just beaten on his own living room floor was already starting to record everything. His words, her bruises, even the messages from B. And somewhere in a calm office across town, the lawyer who once handled her father's business was ready to turn that hidden envelope in her quiet evidence into the one move that would finally shock him into seeing who she really was. Dear viewers, thank you for being here. If you watch without subscribing, it's like letting Emma's story fade back into silence. When you click that button, you stand with every person who was called a disappointment right before they rose. Please subscribe now, and in the comments, tell me where you're watching from. The sound hits first, sharp, sudden, like something breaking inside the walls. Emma Collins flinches so hard the pen slips from her fingers. Her heart jumps before her mind understands. It's only Mark, her husband, slamming the bedroom door upstairs. Again. For a moment, she sits frozen at her small workspace in the living room, breath caught in her throat. The intensity of the noise presses against her chest, reminding her how easily the peace in this house can collapse in seconds. Then she forces herself to breathe, slowly, carefully, like someone who has learned to make quiet her shield. Emma, 28, soft-spoken and steady, returns to her work. Design drafts for a project she hopes will bring in enough money to cover next month's bills. She has always been the calm one, the one who smooths the edges, the one who learned from her father that strength isn't loud, Emma. It's consistent. Her father's voice has followed her through every year of her life, especially since he passed away 8 months ago. He raised her alone after her mother left when Emma was a child. He built a small business from nothing, a repair shop that slowly expanded into something much larger. Even as a girl, she watched him work late nights, restoring old tools, drawing plans, meeting investors, building dreams. She didn't know then that the company he built would grow far beyond what she ever imagined. She didn't know one day it would all be hers. Near the end of his life, he started sending her things, documents, printouts, emails she never fully opened, some letters, some legal forms, some unread messages from firms with names she didn't recognize, preparations she kept putting aside, telling herself she wasn't ready. Her grief sits like a small stone in her chest every morning. Upstairs, Mark grumbles loudly. He is 32, her husband of 4 years, a man with charm that fades quickly once he's comfortable. He wakes late, complains often, and his temper carries a sharpness that feels harmless at first glance, until it doesn't. He used to be sweet. He used to smile when she smiled, but lately he only seems annoyed by her presence, by her quiet routines, by the softness he once claimed to love. Mark thunders down the stairs, rubbing his face. "You still working?" "Emma, honestly, you need to start pulling your weight. I can't do everything." His words slice cleanly, Not loud enough to be explosive, but sharp enough to bruise. Emma lowers her eyes. She wants to remind him that she does work, that she tries every day, that design gigs don't always pay consistently. She wants to explain how she's been trying to step up since her father's death, but she swallows it. Her father once said, "Some people mistake kindness for weakness, but you'll show them differently someday." Emma reaches toward the framed photo of her father next to her laptop, just for comfort, but stops. Mark notices it every time and always complains it clutters the space, so she slides it quietly into the drawer before he can see. "Good," he mutters, passing behind her. "This place looks cleaner without that old picture." Her fingers curl under the desk where he can't see. Her phone buzzes. The screen flashes a name. Attorney Hayes. Emma stiffens, panic whispering against her thoughts. She quickly turns the phone face down. She tells herself she's not ready. Not yet. The paperwork her father left behind and the calls from the lawyer still scare her. The lawyer checks in every few weeks about finalizing the estate transition. Something about control, something about assets, things that sound too big for the small life she's living here. And for now, none of it has changed their day-to-day struggles. The estate is still processing. The bills still coming the same. Mark glances at the phone with suspicion. "Who's that?" "No one. Spam." Her voice stays even, years of practice. He shrugs, not fully convinced, but too tired to push. "I'm going back upstairs. Try not to make noise." He walks off, already complaining under his breath. Emma waits until she hears the bedroom door close again. Then she stands, stretching her cramped fingers, and steps outside to check the mailbox. Small moments of fresh air are her relief. The afternoon is quiet, calm, safe. She opens the metal box and sorts through the envelopes. Bills, ads, a grocery coupon. Then her breath stops. A thick envelope sits at the bottom. Heavy, official-looking, stamped with the seal of a private estate firm, the same name she saw in some of those emails she couldn't face. Her hand begins to tremble. She knows that name. Her father mentioned it once in a whisper when the doctor left the hospital room. A firm that handled large transitions involving things she still could not fully understand. Her stomach drops. Mark's footsteps echo faintly behind her. He must have come back downstairs. Instinct kicks in, fierce and fast. Emma slides the envelope into the pocket of her cardigan just as the front door opens beside her. "What's taking you so long?" Mark asks, stepping onto the porch. Emma turns toward him with a small, practiced smile. "Just junk mail," she says lightly. "I was tossing some flyers." Nothing in her expression reveals the truth, hiding inches from his eyes. He grunts, already bored. "Fine, come inside, I'm starving." He walks back in without waiting for her. Emma stands there for one more heartbeat, the envelope heavy against her side. Deep inside, something begins to shift, quietly, dangerously, like the first whisper of a secret she can no longer avoid. The envelope almost slips from Emma's hands when she reaches the garage door, because the moment she closes it behind her, Mark's voice explodes from inside the house. "Emma, where did you go?" The sound crashes through the hallway like a warning bell, sharp enough to make her heart stumble. Her pulse jumps, fear rising fast and instinctive, the way it always does when his tone shifts from annoyance to something colder. She presses her back to the garage door and holds the envelope tight against her chest, breathing hard, desperate for even a second of silence. Then the house quiets. Footsteps fade. A door slams upstairs again. Only then does Emma's body loosen enough for her to move. It's later that same afternoon, but the garage feels like another world. Dim, warm from the last sunlight of the day. Tools and storage boxes lined neatly along the walls. Her father's order, still preserved from the days he visited and insisted on keeping things tidy. She closes her eyes for a brief moment, grounding herself. This is the only place Mark rarely enters. The only place that still feels like hers. Emma moves deeper into the garage and kneels beside a workbench. With shaking fingers, she pulls the thick envelope from her cardigan and opens it. Her breath stops. Inside are documents sealed with embossed stamps, signatures from attorneys, and a letter addressed to Emma Collins, sole heir. The words blur as tears fill her eyes. Memory rises fast and sharp. Her father in a hospital bed, his skin pale, his breathing shallow, but his eyes warm and full of pride. She remembers sitting beside him, holding his hand, trying not to cry. His voice had been soft, almost fading, yet still solid in the way only he could be. "There's something I've been preparing for you, for years." He squeezed her hand. "Don't let anyone dim your light, Emma. Not even the people you love." She didn't understand then. She thought he was reassuring her because he knew Mark could be critical sometimes. She thought he meant she should keep following her dreams, keep designing, keep living gently. But now, as she unfolds the next page, she sees it clearly. She inherited everything. Her father's company, an empire built from a single repair shop he grew step by step over 30 years. Branches across the country, contract deals, investments, employees, partnerships. A number sits at the bottom of the letter, a value estimate. Her lips part, but no sound comes out. Over $1 billion. Her eyes slide down to key phrases. Transfer of control, conglomerate assets, board transition schedule. Not everything is written in simple terms, but she understands enough. This isn't cash sitting in a bank. This is a company shares, contracts, power, responsibility, legacy. Money she can't just pull out overnight. A life that looks nothing like the one she's living with Mark right now. She presses a hand over her mouth as a sob escapes. Not from joy, not from excitement, but grief. She misses him. She misses the safety of his voice, the steadiness of his steps, the way he always knew when she was struggling, even when she tried to hide it. She misses the warmth that filled a room when he walked in. She wipes her tears, trying to breathe again. For a moment, her mind races in panic. How can she explain this to Mark? He has been stressed about money for months. He blames her for every bill, every setback, every argument. If he learns about this, she doesn't even know what he would do. She can barely imagine it without feeling her stomach twist. She whispers to herself, a broken, trembling sound. How do I even tell him? How do I tell someone who thinks I'm nothing, that I'm now in charge of something so big? Her fingers tighten around the papers until the edges press into her palms. She forces herself to fold the documents neatly and slip them back into the envelope. She cannot think clearly now. She needs time. She needs to breathe. She needs Emma! Mark's voice explodes again, closer this time. The garage door handle jiggles. She jolts to her feet, heart hammering in her throat. She looks around desperately. Her eyes land on an old stack of spare tires along the wall, perfectly hollow in the middle from years of storage. She quickly slides the envelope beneath the lowest one, tucking it deep enough that only she would think to reach for it. She stands just as the door flies open. Mark steps into the doorway, brows pulled tight, eyes narrowing as he scans her face. "What are you doing out here? Why are you acting weird?" Emma forces a steady breath. "I just needed air." He takes 2 steps closer, suspicion sliding across his expression. "Air? In the garage." Her heart slams against her ribs. His gaze drifts around the room slowly, searching, watching, measuring. Then his attention snaps back to her. "What?" he asks again, voice low and sharp. "Are you hiding?" Outside, wind brushes against the door, soft, like a whisper of something shifting. And somewhere deep inside the garage, under a stack of tires, the sealed envelope waits like a sleeping storm ready to break open. 2 evenings later, Mark slams the front door so hard the picture frames on the wall tremble. The sound crashes through the house like a bolt of thunder. Emma startles, nearly dropping the bowl she is carrying to the dinner table. Her heart kicks painfully against her ribs. He storms into the kitchen, jaw tight, eyes sharp, skin flushed with frustration. "I lost the contract," he snaps before she can even speak. "They gave it to someone else, a rookie. Can you believe that?" His voice fills every corner of the kitchen, crowding out the quiet warmth Emma had tried to build while preparing dinner. She places the bowl down slowly, steadying her breath. "I'm sorry, Mark. I know you worked hard for it." "That doesn't help," he snaps. "Nothing helps." He yanks open a cabinet, grabs a plate, and slams it onto the counter. The noise cuts the air again, and Emma's shoulders rise instinctively. Intensity softens. He drags a hand through his hair, sighs heavily, then mutters, "Sorry, it's just..." Everything feels wrong today. Emma gives him a small, gentle nod. She has seen this pattern before. Rage first, apology next. She always forgives. She always tries again, because she still believes that love should be patient, soft, and understanding. It was how her father treated her, how he taught her to love others. Mark sits at the table, immediately picking at the food with a frown. "It's cold," he mutters. "It just came off the stove," she answers softly. "I can reheat it." "No," he says, pushing the plate away. "Forget it." He stands abruptly and starts pacing the room, irritation spilling from him in sharp lines. "It's like this house is cursed," he grumbles. "The bills, the repairs, my job falling apart. If we had real money, things would be different." Emma freezes. The world seems to narrow around that one sentence, because she knows something he doesn't, something she is still trying to process herself, something she hasn't even said aloud. A billion-dollar empire sits hidden inside the garage, folded beneath spare tires. Her breath tightens. For a second, she almost tells him, almost opens her mouth to say, "Mark, I do have something to tell you." But fear seizes her. The memory of his temper stops her. The way he snapped at her in the garage. The way his suspicion lingers even when he pretends to let things go. She turns back to the sink, pretending to wash a dish. She says nothing, and Mark doesn't notice the battle happening inside her. He keeps ranting, waving his hands as if trying to push away invisible problems. "Everything is on me. Always on me. You should help more, Emma. You could be more ambitious. Do something bigger. Try harder." The words sting, even though she's heard versions of them before. Emma works. She tries. She carries the quiet weight of their life, even more so since her father died. She never says it out loud, but the effort exhausts her. Mark's voice shifts again, softer but still edged. "I didn't mean it like that, okay?" he says. "I'm just stressed." Emma nods, as she always does. "I understand." The air calms. The storm passes. For a moment, they eat in uneasy silence. But underneath that quiet sits something else, something new. Emma feels it like a thin crack running along a glass surface, small enough that no one sees it yet, but she feels it. After dinner, Mark goes to the couch and turns on the TV. Emma stays in the kitchen, wiping down the counter, trying to steady her thoughts. She needs a plan. She needs time. She needs strength she isn't sure she has yet. When she steps into the living room, Mark is on his phone. His expression shifts quickly, neutral to guarded in one blink. Her eyes catch a glimpse before he tilts the screen away. A text from someone saved as B. Mark's thumb moves quickly, hiding the message. He locks the screen and clears his throat. "Just work stuff." But his tone is too fast, too clipped. A small ache forms in Emma's chest. Not jealousy yet, just a quiet dread. A whisper that something is wrong. Something is shifting between them. Something she can't name yet. Mark stands. "I'm going upstairs. Don't stay up too late." He walks away without looking back. Emma stands alone in the room, the glow of the television flickering across her face. Something cold curls at the edge of her thoughts, like a shadow stretching wider. Somewhere inside her, she senses that the cracks she's been ignoring are about to widen, and tomorrow may not bring the comfort she's hoping for. The argument explodes before dinner even reaches the table. Mark slams his phone onto the counter so hard the salt shaker jumps. "For once," he snaps, "can we have a normal night? Or is that too much to ask?" Emma freezes mid-step, holding two plates, her hands trembling. His outburst slices through the soft routine she tried to create, turning the kitchen into a storm zone. The same sharp energy from the night he lost the contract returns, heavy, unpredictable, only worse now that the days of tension have stacked on top of each other. "Mark, I didn't say anything." Her voice is calm, gentle, the same tone she uses whenever he spirals. "It's your face," he mutters, grabbing his plate anyway. "You always look like something's wrong." She wants to tell him something is wrong. Something is breaking. Something inside her is carrying secrets too big, too heavy, too dangerous to release all at once. But instead she places his plate on the table with quiet hands. The intensity slowly settles into a tired silence. They sit across from each other, the clink of utensils the only sound in the room. Emma gathers her courage, gripping her napkin, trying to keep her voice steady. Mark, there's something I need to tell you. Something about my... He cuts her off instantly, eyes glued to his glowing phone screen. Hold on, he mutters, thumb moving fast. I'm in the middle of something important. Emma's throat tightens. She watches him type. Quick, secretive, guarded. The same name flashes at the top of the phone. B. Her chest aches. She doesn't want to assume the worst. She doesn't want to imagine the truth twisting behind his backlit screen. But the suspicion has been growing like a shadow, silent but undeniable. Still, she tries again, quieter. It's about my dad. He doesn't look up. Can we not talk about your father again? He's gone, Emma. Move on. The words hit her like a slap. Her breath falters. Her eyes sting instantly. She looks down at her lap, blinking fast to stop the tears. The room blurs. His voice becomes distant, and suddenly her memory pulls her backward. Years earlier, to a small shop filled with the scent of wood and oil. She is 8 years old, handing her father nails as he rebuilds the shelves in their store. He is younger then, broad-shouldered, gentle-eyed, wearing the smile he saved only for her. Dad, is this enough? She asks, lifting the small box. He smiles warmly. More than enough, sweetheart. She watches him hammer, watches the way he works with patience, focus, humility, steady hands, steady heart. A customer had insulted him earlier, saying he was just a repairman. She saw the hurt in his eyes even though he hid it. As he wipes his forehead, he kneels beside her. Listen, Emma, he says softly. Anyone who makes you feel small doesn't deserve you. Ever. She nods, tucking the words into her heart. The memory fades. Emma finds herself back at the dinner table, staring at the man who once held her so gently, now too busy texting someone named B to even hear her voice. She swallows hard, placing her hands in her lap, steadying her breath. The pacing slows, deepening the ache in her chest. Mark finally sets his phone down and stands. I'm stepping outside, he says. Need air. Before she can respond, he's already walking to the back door. Emma sits in silence, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. The weight of everything she's holding, the hidden billion-dollar inheritance, the fear of his temper, the suspicion of his secrets, presses hard against her ribs. She hears his footsteps on the patio. She doesn't mean to follow. She only wants a glass of water. But the window by the sink is open, and his voice cuts through clearly. Yeah, babe, she's clueless, he murmurs into the phone. His voice is low, relaxed, almost affectionate. Nothing like the harsh tone he uses with her. Just give me a little more time. I'll prove I'm serious. I'll file and show you everything's done. Emma's fingers go numb. The glass slips from her hand and clinks softly into the sink. Her world shifts. Everything she has been afraid to admit becomes undeniable in that moment. He isn't just hiding messages. He is making plans. Plans that don't include her. She leans against the counter, breath shaking, her heart breaking in a slow, heavy silence. Somewhere outside, Mark laughs lightly, soft, secretive, intimate, and inside Emma, a new kind of stillness forms. A stillness that feels like the beginning of a storm. Quietly, something tells her that tomorrow might shatter even more than tonight's silence. The next night, Mark crashes through the front door so violently that the wall shakes behind it. The sound ricochets through the whole house, loud enough to make Emma's breath stop mid-inhale. She was sitting on the edge of the couch, hands folded tightly, rehearsing her words for the 10th time. His footsteps stagger across the floor, heavy and uneven. He's drunk. He tosses his jacket to the ground and kicks it aside. His eyes are clouded, his face tense, jaw twitching with anger he hasn't named yet. The air around him feels dangerous, like a storm rolling in too fast. Emma rises slowly from the couch. Mark, we need to talk. The intensity in the room clamps tighter. He whips toward her so fast she flinches. Oh, now you want to talk? He spits. Now? His voice isn't just sharp, it's jagged. She swallows and takes a careful step back. It's important. It's about money, about my dad's. Mark laughs, short, bitter, humorless. Of course it is, because your timing is always perfect, isn't it? He stumbles onto the couch, rubbing his forehead hard. His phone lights up beside him. A message flashes across the screen, bright and clear. B, you said you would tell her soon. I need proof you're actually leaving. Emma's stomach twists. She knows what that means. She knows he has been planning a life without her. Mark grabs the phone before she can look too long. He turns it face down, breathing harshly. I'm tired, he mutters. Tired of being judged. Emma doesn't raise her voice. She never does. Mark, I heard you outside last night. I heard what you said. I just need to understand. That is the spark that ignites him. He shoots up from the couch, fury exploding through him. Oh, so this is what this is about, he yells. You spying on me? Listening through doors like a paranoid child? I wasn't spying, she whispers. I heard you by accident. I just want us to talk honestly, Mark. Honestly? His voice cracks into a harsh laugh. You can't handle honesty, Emma. You can't handle anything. He steps toward her, and she steps back. Her heart pounds like it's trying to break free from her chest. Mark? No! He points at her, jabbing the air. Don't talk. You never talk. You just sit there like a ghost in this house. A burden. A disappointment. The words hit harder than the volume, because they are said with full intention, full belief. Emma feels her vision blur, but she stays still, silent. He grabs her wrist suddenly, too tight, and jerks her forward. Look at me when I talk to you. Her breath catches. Pain shoots up her arm. She tries to pull away, gently at first, then with more urgency. Mark, let go. But he doesn't. Stress, alcohol, the fear of losing control, the pressure from the woman texting him, all of it twists him into someone unrecognizable. You want honesty? He growls. Here it is. I'm sick of this life. Sick of you dragging everything down. You can't even keep this house right. You can't help me. You can barely help yourself. Her voice breaks in a small, trembling whisper. I've been trying. Trying? He shouts. Trying isn't enough. He shoves her backward. She hits the corner of the coffee table hard. Pain shoots across her back. She gasps, falling to the floor. Before she can sit up, he slaps her across the face. Sharp, fast, fueled by rage and desperation. The room echoes with the sound. For a long moment, everything freezes. The world goes silent. Emma doesn't scream. She doesn't cry. She doesn't move. She just stares at him, hollow, empty, as if something inside her has cracked too deeply to show emotion. Mark stands above her, panting, chest heaving. He rubs his face hard, as if realizing what he just did, but not enough to apologize, not enough to change, not enough to care. Get up, he mutters, voice flat. Don't lay there like a victim. I can't deal with this right now. He stumbles away, grabbing his phone, cursing under his breath as he disappears into the bedroom. Emma stays on the floor, palms pressed against the wood, her breath unsteady, her cheek burning. Slowly her eyes drift toward the hallway, toward the garage, toward the hidden envelope under the spare tires. Her body shakes, but not from fear anymore, from awakening. From clarity, the inheritance, the company, her father's legacy. It rises in her mind suddenly, sharply, like a light cutting through darkness. Her heartbeat steadies. Her breath slows. Something in her shifts from helplessness into something colder, quieter, stronger. And in the back of her mind, a single thought whispers, steady and clear. Tomorrow everything changes. Emma jerks awake to the sound of a loud crash. Something glass shatters in the living room, followed by Mark's irritated groan. Her heart slams into her ribs, and for a split second, she can't breathe. The memory of the slap, the shove, the fall, it all hits her again like a fresh bruise. She sits up slowly on the bedroom floor where she slept last night, because she couldn't bear to lie beside him. At some point after he passed out, she had dragged a pillow and blanket to the corner, choosing the hard floor over his side of the bed. Her cheek throbs when she touches it. Her back stings from the table's corner. The intensity of last night hangs in the air like smoke. Mark curses from the living room. Stupid lamp, always breaking. She freezes, listening. His voice isn't focused on her, not yet, but it's heavy, careless, irritated. The kind of tone that warns her not to step into the room just yet. She stands quietly, every movement slow and calculated, her body sore. She steps into the bathroom and closes the door soundlessly, turning the lock with practiced care. This time she doesn't cry. She lifts her shirt and stares at the bruises forming across her ribs. Purplish marks bloom across her skin, like painful reminders of how far things have gone. She takes a long breath, steady and slow. Then she picks up her phone. The intensity fades into cold focus. She lifts the camera and takes photos. Front, side, close-up, full set. Her hands shake only slightly. She moves with calm precision, as if something inside her has finally clicked into place. Next, she plays his voicemails, those angry ones he left days ago when she didn't reply fast enough or didn't answer a call. She saves them, labels them. Then she opens the screenshots she took weeks ago of his text from B when he left his phone unattended on the kitchen counter. Messages about plans, meeting, being patient, and proof you're leaving. She saves them all into a secure folder, uploading copies to a cloud account only she can access. Her breathing deepens with every step. This isn't fear anymore. It's strategy. A soft flashback rises, slow and warm. She is 16 again, sitting at her father's large desk. He is showing her how he keeps records, business logs, client notes, signed agreements. "Why do you save all these?" young Emma asks. Her father smiles and taps a thick binder. "Truth is strongest when recorded. People lie, memories fade, but evidence speaks clearly." She nods, absorbing every word. "Someday this will help you more than you know." The memory fades. Her father had been right about everything. Emma closes the folder on her phone and finally takes a slow breath. Her cheek still burns, but her spirit doesn't tremble anymore. She steps out of the bathroom. Mark is in the living room with the TV on, feet on the table, laughing at something on the screen. A broken lamp lies in the trash. He doesn't even look at her. He doesn't know. He has no idea. Emma walks quietly past him, her eyes cold and distant. She enters the garage, closing the door behind her. Her hands reach for her phone again. For a brief moment, she hesitates, not from doubt, but from the weight of what she's about to begin. Then she presses a contact already saved in her phone. "Attorney Hayes," a voice answers. Calm, steady, masculine. Familiar now from missed calls and short messages about estate matters. "Emma, it's Carter," he says. "Are you all right?" "It happened," she whispers. "I need your help." The voice replies, low and firm, all business and quiet concern. "I'm here. Tell me everything." Emma nods, tears finally gathering. But they are different tears now. Not weakness, release. After the call, she kneels beside the spare tires and reaches underneath, fingers trembling for the first time. She pulls out the thick inheritance envelope and carries it to a small stool. She sits. She opens the envelope again. She lays the evidence beside it. Photos, screenshots, recordings. Two worlds she has kept apart now placed side by side. Her father's empire. Mark's secrets. Her bruises. Her truth. She places her hand over the papers and whispers to the empty garage. "It's time." And somewhere deep inside the house, Mark laughs again, clueless that her silence is no longer fear, but the beginning of his end. Emma rushes through the glass doors so fast she almost collides with the receptionist's desk. Her breath comes in short, sharp bursts, her hands shaking from everything she's holding inside. The building is quiet, too quiet, and the sudden silence feels like a slap. The receptionist looks up in surprise, then recognition. "Emma Collins?" Emma nods quickly, clutching her folder to her chest like a lifeline. Her cheek is still faintly bruised. Her ribs ache every time she inhales. The receptionist's expression softens, but she doesn't ask questions. She simply stands and guides Emma down the hallway. Every step feels like stepping out of one world and into another. They stop at a closed door with a small nameplate. Attorney Carter Hayes. The receptionist knocks once and opens it. "Mr. Hayes, your appointment is here." Inside the office stands a man in his early 40s. Carter Hayes. Calm eyes, clean suit. The kind of person who carries quiet authority. He steps forward, extending a hand. "Emma, I'm Carter. We've spoken briefly on the phone. Your father trusted me. And I want you to know, you're safe here. The words hit her harder than they should. She nods, trying not to cry. He motions for her to sit. Tell me what happened. All of it. She opens her folder with trembling fingers. Photos, screenshots, voicemails, the inheritance envelope. Carter watches silently, giving her the space to breathe before forcing her to speak. Once everything is laid out between them, she finally whispers, "He hurt me, and he's seeing someone else." A muscle in Carter's jaw tightens. He nods slowly. "Emma, this is more than enough for protection. You have strong grounds for charges and for divorce." Her stomach knots. "I've never filed anything like that. I don't even know how to begin." "That's why you're here." Carter leans forward. "We'll file a restraining order first, then the divorce. We'll also file a police report to document the assault. We'll secure your financial independence and your safety." She hesitates, then reaches for the inheritance papers. "There's something else you need to see." She hands him the envelope. Carter begins reading. His expression shifts. Confusion first, then recognition, then shock. He looks up slowly, disbelief in his eyes. "Emma, do you understand what this means?" She shakes her head. "Only parts of it." He leans back, exhaling hard. "Your father didn't just own a company. He built an empire. This document confirms you're the sole heir. As of last month, you own one of the largest corporate groups in the country." The words land like thunder. Emma sits frozen, absorbing the truth she has been afraid to face. All her father's lessons, all his late nights, all his secrets. They were preparing her for this moment. "My father wanted me to have a strong life," she whispers. "Not this." "That's exactly why he planned this," Carter says softly. "He trusted you more than you realize." He sets the papers down and folds his hands. But then his expression shifts again, this time darker. "Emma, there's something else you need to know." Her spine straightens. "What?" Carter sighs. "Mark has already spoken to several lawyers." Her heartbeat spikes. "Why?" "He contacted them in a rush over the last week," Carter explains. "He told them you are unstable, emotional, unpredictable since your father died. He tried to get ahead of any story you might tell." Emma feels cold inside, a kind of cold she has never felt before. "He wants to turn everything against me. Some of those attorneys recognized your name from the estate transition. A few called me directly to warn me," Carter adds. "He's building a false story, likely to protect himself or to reach your inheritance. That's why we act now," he says firmly. "We hit first." She looks down at the documents spread across the desk, her bruises, Mark's messages, her father's legacy, her own strength rising from somewhere deep. Carter places 2 sets of papers in front of her. Restraining order petition, divorce filing. His voice is steady. "If you sign this, we begin today." Emma picks up the pen. For the first time in days, her hand doesn't shake. She signs line after line, with a steady hand. Carter gathers the papers, his expression firm. "I'll have these filed immediately. We'll also coordinate with your company's security team to support you at home." Emma stands slowly, feeling the first true breath of freedom push into her chest. And as she turns toward the door, the faint vibration of her phone echoes in her pocket. Mark's name glowing on the screen, trying to reach her again. A quiet voice inside her whispers that soon, Mark will learn exactly what she's capable of. A few days later, Mark bursts through the front door with the confidence of someone who expects comfort waiting for him. "Emma, I'm home," he calls loudly, tossing his keys on the table. But instead of the usual quiet house, he freezes mid-step. 2 uniformed officers stand in the center of the living room. Beside them is a woman in a clean gray suit holding a clipboard. Her expression is calm, professional, and unreadable. Mark's eyes widen. What is this?" The intensity hits him so fast that his breath shortens. For the first time in a long time, he is not the one controlling the room. Emma steps out from behind the officers. She stands steady, her face calm, almost emotionless. The bruises faintly visible on her cheek make the officer's presence even heavier. Before Mark can speak again, One of the officers steps forward. Mark Collins? His voice booms through the house, official and heavy. Yeah, Mark stammers. The officer holds out a thick envelope. You're being served. Mark laughs, sharp, disbelieving, mocking. He snatches the envelope and tears it open. But the moment his eyes land on the title, the laugh dies in his throat. Petition for divorce and temporary restraining order. The letters burn through him like fire. He looks up at Emma, betrayal twisting across his face. You can't be serious. Emma, what is this? Her voice is steady. It's exactly what it says. His face reddens. You think you can survive without me? She holds his gaze without blinking. I already have. The room falls silent. Mark's nostrils flare. He throws the papers onto the coffee table. This is insane. I provide everything for this house. You can't just... A quiet cough interrupts him. Attorney Carter Hayes steps forward from the corner of the room, dressed in a firm black suit. He holds another document, a single sheet with an official seal. Mark's eyes narrow. You again? Who invited this? Carter extends the paper calmly. Mr. Collins, you'll want to see this. This outlines the corporate succession and clarifies that you have no claim to your wife's inherited assets. Mark snatches it, still fuming. But when he reads the first lines, the anger drains from his face, replaced by confusion, then shock, then fear. Notification of corporate succession. Naming Emma Collins as sole owner and chief successor. His hands tremble. What? What is this? Emma? What? Emma stands tall, her voice quiet but firm. My father prepared everything. He left the entire company to me. Mark stumbles back a step. A company? What company? His voice shakes. What are you talking about? Carter's tone remains professional. Your late father-in-law owned one of the largest corporate groups in the country. Emma is now the sole heir. These documents also confirm that your name has never been on any of those assets. Mark's knees nearly buckle. Emma, she owns all of that. The woman in the suit speaks gently. Sir, we recommend you read everything carefully. These documents outline her financial independence, her corporate protections, and her legal grounds for the petition and protective order. Mark stares at Emma in disbelief. You hid this from me? She meets his stare evenly. I had to. You weren't safe to tell. His face twists, anger rising again, but this time it's mixed with panic. You think a restraining order and some company are going to save you? You can't run from me. The officers immediately step forward, blocking him. Mr. Collins, one warns, any threatening behavior or attempt to approach her violates the order and will be noted. Mark clamps his jaw shut. His eyes dart between them, between Emma, between the inheritance document that just shattered his ego. His phone buzzes. He pulls it out automatically. A message lights up the screen from B. Call me when you're single and settled. I can't be part of your drama. He stares at it, stunned. Another message pops up. Don't contact me until everything is finished. This is too much. The woman he was seeing has just abandoned him. Right here, right in front of everyone. His breath shakes. His confidence crumbles. Emma watches quietly. She doesn't smirk. She doesn't flinch. She simply stands there, calm, collected, someone he no longer recognizes. Behind her, Carter speaks softly. We'll be in touch soon, Emma. The hearing is scheduled. Everything is moving as planned. Emma nods. Mark feels his world closing around him, walls collapsing, safety vanishing. And as the officers begin explaining the restraining order conditions, where he can't go, who he can't contact, what happens if he breaks it, Emma turns and walks toward the hallway without looking back at him. She knows this is only the beginning, and far bigger consequences are waiting for him in the days ahead. Weeks later, the judge's gavel slams down with a force that shakes the room. Order in the court. Mark flinches. Emma doesn't. The intensity hits instantly. The courtroom is packed. Officers, lawyers, clerks, and a few onlookers who always seem to wander in for drama. Mark stands beside his lawyer, face tight, sweating, hands trembling. Emma sits beside Attorney Carter Hayes, calm and composed, her expression unreadable. This is the moment everything turns. The judge adjusts his glasses and nods to Carter. You may begin. Carter rises with quiet authority. Your Honor, today we present evidence of physical, emotional, and verbal abuse against my client, Mrs. Emma Collins, as well as a pattern of infidelity and manipulation by Mr. Collins. Mark scoffs loudly. This is ridiculous. Mr. Collins, the judge warns, you will stay silent until you are given permission to speak. Mark clenches his jaw, but obeys. His confidence cracks just a little. Carter opens a folder. The first photo appears on the screen. Emma's bruised cheek. The room shifts. An undeniable gasp cutting through the air. The bruise is faint now, but visible. A mark that tells a story without needing words. Carter continues. This photo was taken the morning after the incident. The medical report confirms trauma consistent with physical assault. Mark's lawyer jumps up. Objection. Overruled, the judge replies firmly. Another photo appears. Bruises across Emma's ribs, her skin discolored and painful. Mark snaps. She's exaggerating. Those are not silence, the judge barks. Emma stays perfectly still. She does not cry. She does not shake. She sits with the stillness of someone who has carried pain long enough to numb it. Carter clicks again. Audio plays. Mark's voice fills the courtroom like poison. You're a disappointment. You can't do anything right. I'm sick of you dragging me down. Everyone hears it. Every word. The courtroom chills. Mark's face drains. That's edited. She's twisting. Enough, the judge snaps. Speak again out of turn, and you'll be removed. Carter moves on. Your Honor, this is a screenshot from Mr. Collins's phone, captured before these proceedings. The screen shows text from B. B, did you tell her yet? B, I need proof you're actually leaving. Whispers scatter through the room. Mark's confidence crumbles another inch. His lawyer pinches the bridge of his nose. Defeated. Carter steps aside. Your Honor, we also have a witness. She came forward after we contacted her regarding these messages. The door opens. She walks in, a woman in her early 30s, well-dressed, nervous, but determined. The mistress. Mark's face drains white. What are you doing here? The woman avoids his eyes. Her voice shakes. I was told he was leaving his wife. He said she was unstable. He said he had proof. He told me she was the problem. She glances at Emma, guilt written across her face. I didn't know he was lying. When your office reached out, I couldn't keep covering for him. Carter nods gently. Thank you. Mark lunges forward. You traitor! You! Two officers grab his arms immediately. Enough! The judge bellows. You will control yourself. Mark's voice cracks, desperation pouring out. She tricked me. She planned all this. None of this is real. Emma finally looks at him. For the first time, she sees not a man, but a frightened child in a man's body. Someone who built his world out of arrogance and lies, and is now watching it collapse. The judge exhales, then begins reading. After reviewing the evidence presented and hearing testimony from both sides, he adjusts his glasses. Mark trembles silently. The court finds in favor of Emma Collins. The room reacts with a quiet, sharp gasp. The judge continues. Petition for divorce. Granted. Restraining order. Approved and extended. Criminal charges for assault. Pending review by the district attorney's office. With this court's recommendation to proceed. Mr. Collins has no legal or financial claim over Mrs. Collins's assets or inheritance. The final words hit Mark like a blow. No, you can't do this, he screams. His outburst ricochets through the courtroom. Officers grab him, holding him still as he thrashes. You ruined me. You ruined my life. His voice cracks. Emma, please, don't do this. But Emma stands calmly, gathering her documents with steady hands. She does not look back. Mark struggles in the officer's grip, desperation turning him wild. His screams echo down the hallway as they drag him away, his world collapsing piece by piece. Carter touches Emma's shoulder gently. It's over. But Emma knows better. As she walks out of the courtroom, the air feels different, lighter, but also uncertain. Because one thing remains. Aftermath always comes last. And deep inside her heart, a quiet whisper warns. Some endings don't stay quiet for long. The courthouse doors burst open behind Emma as a desperate scream tears through the air. "Emma, please!" Mark's voice cracks so violently that several people on the steps turn to stare. The intensity lands like a shockwave, freezing Emma mid-step. She doesn't turn around, but her breath trembles once. Just once. Behind her, Mark collapses to his knees on the courthouse steps. His tie is crooked, his face red and wet with tears. The last pieces of his pride scattered across the concrete. "Don't leave," he shouts. "I can change. I swear. Just don't do this." Officers stand nearby, watching him carefully, but not touching him unless he tries to approach. The restraining order is already in place. One more step toward her, and they will pull him back again. Emma closes her eyes. Only a moment. Then she exhales, soft and steady, letting the intensity melt off her shoulders like a heavy coat. She takes one silent step down the stairs, then another. Each step feels like shedding the weight of years, the fear, the pain, the shrinking of herself to keep peace. Behind her, Mark sobs harder. She finally reaches the sidewalk. The sun rests on her face, gentle and warm like her father's hands once were. A memory rises as clearly as if he were standing beside her. She is a child again, standing in their small shop while her father replaces a broken shelf. She holds a handful of screws, proud to be helping. "Daddy, what if I mess it up?" Her father kneels and wipes a streak of sawdust from her cheek. "Strength isn't loud, Emma," he tells her with a soft smile. "It's consistent. It shows up even when people don't notice." He taps her chest lightly. "And you've had that strength your whole life." The memory fades, leaving warmth in its place. Emma reaches into her pocket and pulls out her wedding ring, the same ring she once stared at with hope, the same ring she held on to during every apology, every second chance, every moment she chose forgiveness over herself. She turns it in her palm. It no longer feels heavy. It no longer feels like hers. A donation box sits near the courthouse entrance. Money for victims of violence, a cause her father supported for years. Emma walks toward it slowly. She opens her hand. The ring falls into the box with a soft, final sound. She doesn't look at it again. Two members of her company's security team wait beside a black car at the curb. They stand straight, professional, respectful. They do not stare at her bruises. They do not ask questions. They simply open the door. Emma gets inside. As the door closes, she hears Mark scream her name again. His voice breaks like something inside him has finally collapsed under its own weight. But she keeps her eyes forward. The driver looks at her through the mirror. "Ready, Mrs. Collins?" Emma nods. "Yes, take me home." Not the house she shared with Mark, her real home, the one her father built, where her name now sits on every document, where her future begins again. The car pulls away from the curb, leaving Mark behind on the courthouse steps, kneeling, crying, shaking, his last chance fading with every inch of distance. He reaches out weakly, arm trembling, but Emma never turns around. She doesn't need to. Her future is finally forward. And in the end, she didn't need revenge to win. She only needed the truth. The sunlight brightens the road ahead as the car disappears down the street, quiet, calm, and free. A gentle pause. Then the final lines. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed creating it. Like, share, and comment on the lessons you've learned. Let me know where you're watching from in the comments below. See you in my next video.